Thomas Alive Today presents
Art Van Furniture. Archie Van Elslander was born in 1930 on the east side of Detroit into a Belgian immigrant family. Van Elslander showed an interest in sales early on, hawking newspapers up and down Detroit's Gratiot Avenue as a youngster. During these years he also adopted his preferred name of Art. After graduation from high school and a year in the U.S. Army, Van Elslander married and then began working for the Crown Furniture Company, moving up to store manager within 2 years. Desiring a business of his own, Van Elslander in 1959 mortgaged his house and borrowed from his insurance policies to finance the first Art Van Furniture store, a 4,000 square foot outlet on Gratiot Avenue in East Detroit. As a salesman he had found it easier to omit the end of his last name when talking to customers, and it was this shortened form that he chose to use as the store's name. The early years were difficult, with Van Elslander, the store's sole employee, responsible for everything from opening in the morning to making deliveries after closing in the evening. As he would continue to do in the future, he involved his growing family in the business, bringing his wife and children in on Sundays to dust and sweep. Key to the company's success was a policy of quick delivery. While most furniture stores required a customer to wait weeks or even months for an order to arrive from the manufacturer, Art Van maintained a warehouse that stocked a large backlog of goods, enabling prompt delivery of most items. Strong automobile sales in the early 1960s boosted Detroit's economy, and sales of furniture were good. By 1964 there were a total of 7 Art Van stores, Van Elslander having taken on several partners to help finance the expansion. However, an economic downturn that year caused sales to drop off, and the highly leveraged company faced the prospect of bankruptcy. Determined to pay off his creditors and remain in business, Van Elslander held a liquidation sale at the Michigan State Fairgrounds in a giant tent. Following the successful sale, he split the business with his 3 partners, giving each a store of his own and keeping 4 to himself. In the early 1970s he was able to buy the others out completely and again become sole owner. By this time Art Van had grown into a chain of 15 stores, all in the metropolitan Detroit area. The early 1970s saw an increasingly competitive atmosphere as other furniture retailers such as Joshua Dore began to aggressively target Art Van's customers. Rather than bow to the competition, Van Elslander responded in kind, moving the company's headquarters and warehouse to a larger location and offering such new services as free immediate delivery. "I knew we had to expand or lose our business. Expand and keep up the advertising," said the company's founder. Advertising had become a vital part of his strategy, and it would eventually make Art Van Furniture as well known as McDonald's or Chevrolet to Detroit area residents. The company was one of the first in the area to use television spots to advertise furniture. Art Van commercials, which were changed weekly, stressed sale prices and the company's special services such as free delivery. By the mid-1970s an economic recession began to cause a shakeout in the furniture business, and within the next few years over 80 furniture stores or companies in Michigan folded, including Joshua Dore, which at one time had operated over 300 showrooms. At the same time, however, Art Van was expanding its warehouse yet again and also opening its first stores outside of metropolitan Detroit, adding locations in Flint and Lansing in 1977. The year 1980 saw the company introduce an Art Van charge card and open an additional store, bringing the total count to 19 for the chain. In 1983 the company named Gary Van Elslander, Art's son, to the position of president, while Art remained company chairman. In 1987 the Van Elslanders purchased an upscale furniture store, Scott Shuptrine, and soon bought 3 other independent stores and built a 4th, giving each the Shuptrine name. Scott Shuptrine's typical customer was 35 to 54 years old, with a household income of $50,000 and up, as compared to Art Van's 25 to 54-year-old, $25,000 to $30,000 a year demographic. In 1989 Gary Van Elslander left Art Van to oversee the Shuptrine operation, which was run as a separate entity from Art Van Furniture. Profits remained elusive for Scott Shuptrine, however, due to strong competition from other high-end furniture retailers and the vastly different nature of its business. Unlike the more mainstream Art Van, which could sell couches or bedroom sets by the truckload, the high-end market was geared toward sales of expensive, custom-built pieces and relied upon the recommendations of interior design consultants. Showrooms were much more lavish and customers expected to be pampered. Thus, overhead was much higher than at an Art Van outlet. Over the next few years, the number of Shuptrine locations declined to 2. In 1988, Art Van Furniture added a new service, Mattress Express, which guaranteed next-day delivery or the purchase was free, with free removal of mattresses that were being replaced. The company offered the mattresses it picked up to Detroit area social service agencies, eventually purchasing a converted tire shredding machine to dispose of the mattresses that were not reused. This massive, $200,000 device, the only one of its kind in the country, paid for itself quickly as shredded mattresses required only 1/7 the landfill space of intact ones. In addition to running his furniture business, Art Van Elslander was also active in local community service organizations and was a frequent contributor to charities. One of his most public efforts involved rescuing a holiday tradition. The city of Detroit had enjoyed an annual, nationally televised, Thanksgiving Day parade for many years. However, in 1980 Hudson's department store ended its sponsorship, and in 1988 CBS dropped its national telecast, causing many other corporate sponsors to exit. The parade's budget immediately went into the red, and in 1990 the event was in danger of being cancelled altogether. Reading in the newspaper of this possibility, Van Elslander quickly decided to make a contribution to keep the parade afloat. His $200,000 check enabled the parade to go on, and the next year he offered to match the contributions of other businesses up to $100,000. Charitable efforts were an ongoing activity for Van Elslander, who often donated money privately to local agencies. By 1992 Art Van's annual sales had topped $220 million, and the company was still seeking new ways to reach customers. One successful idea was the introduction of clearance centers attached to many of the chain stores. These centers sold damaged or overstocked merchandise at rates from 40 to 70% off retail, allowing the company to expand its penetration of the market to another price level. Art Van stores were also successful with sales of such accessories as lamps, area rugs, and wall art pieces. To increase sales of such items, products at the company's stores were arranged carefully into harmonious groupings that appealed to the eye. With research showing that customers who made a major furniture purchase often bought accessories to accompany it within 3 days, the company put a great deal of effort into this category, which was a consistently profitable one. Art Van Elslander's business acumen and community spirit led him to another new project in 1994, when he and a group of investors purchased the landmark Pontchartrain Hotel in Detroit from the Resolution Trust Corporation. The purchase price was $4 million, and $7 million in renovations were planned. Van Elslander intended to turn the hotel's fortunes around, and immediately aligned the Pontchartrain with Holiday Inn's Crowne Plaza chain, enabling the hotel to benefit from that company's reservations network. The years following the city's deadly 1967 riots had seen Detroit's population drop, and some areas of downtown Detroit had come to resemble a no man's land. With this and other major investments taking place in the area, it appeared that the city's badly damaged reputation might finally be on the mend. By 1997, following a spurt of growth in the early to mid-1990s, the company had increased in size to a total of 26 stores with over 2,600 employees. An expansion of the flagship store in Warren, Michigan, was being planned at this time, based on company research into shopping patterns and lifestyles. The redesign, unveiled in August 1998, featured a 2-story glass atrium entrance, a cappuccino bar, soft lighting, and a more upscale merchandise mix. The company was trying to attract more affluent patrons, while not alienating its core customers. Other stores in the chain were scheduled for similar upgrades, and the most recently built ones had incorporated the design changes from the outset. In November the company opened its 27th store, in northern Michigan's Traverse City. This 62,000 square foot facility, which followed the new design, also featured a kids' castle, first introduced in the Warren makeover. The 1,400 square foot play space featured climbing structures, a TV room, and a ball play area. Art Van staff supervised the children while their parents browsed the store. The merchandise offered at Art Van now ranged from bedroom sets and mattresses to dinettes, entertainment centers, home office furniture, sofas, chairs, end tables, grandfather clocks, and children's furniture. Italian leather furniture and Amish-made oak furniture were displayed in specially designed sections of the stores to enhance their appeal. Striving to distinguish itself for its customer service, Art Van stores not only offered free delivery and setup of furniture, but also focused on the shopping experience itself, walking customers to their cars with umbrellas on rainy days, loading large purchases into their cars, washing their windshields, and presenting them with a flower. The company also offered a financing plan that required no money down, no interest, and no payments for 2 years. While competitors tried to match these terms, Art Van's policies proved the most generous. The company's policies of attentive service, carefully designed stores, attractive financing plans, and heavily advertised sale prices proved an irresistible combination for several generations of Michigan furniture buyers. With its first 40 years in business largely a huge success, and the next Van Elslander generation actively involved in the company, Art Van Furniture seemed assured of continuing dominance of the Michigan furniture market. In 2009, Art Van introduced Pure Sleep, a brand of in-store departments and standalone stores offering mattresses. A year later in 2010, the company acquired Brubaker's Furniture and converted its 2 stores in northern Michigan into Art Van locations. Art Van acquired Howell, Michigan-based Mattress World in 2011, converting many of that chain's locations to Pure Sleep stores. Art Van expanded outside Michigan for the first time in July 2013, with a new store in Orland Park, Illinois. Later that year, the chain also entered Ohio, opening a store near Toledo in September. The company expanded into Iowa in 2016, with franchise stores in Cedar Falls and Coralville. In March 2017, Art Van was acquired by private equity firm Thomas H. Lee Partners for $617 million. Later that year, the company acquired Pennsylvania-based chains Levin Furniture and Wolf Furniture. Art Van expanded into Missouri in 2018, with 4 franchised stores in the St. Louis area. These were former locations of Rothman's Furniture, a local chain that went out of business in early 2017. The chain opened its flagship store in Canton, Michigan on February 1, 2018. On March 5, 2020, Art Van announced the closure of all of its company-owned stores, and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy 4 days later. During the liquidation sale, a store in Warren, Michigan dealt with massive, unruly crowds, and was ordered by police to close early. The timing of the company's bankruptcy meant liquidation sales were cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the case was converted to Chapter 7 bankruptcy by April. Levin Furniture stores were reacquired by former owner Robert Levin during bankruptcy proceedings, and were reopened under his ownership later in 2020. After the closure, THL initially reneged on its promise of severance pay, which led to former employees taking action and lobbying THL investors to force the company to create a hardship fund for former employees.
I'm being followed. I'm scared, Sam.
Listen, Angel, lose yourself in a crowd, and I'll meet you.
Where will I find a crowd, Sam?
No sweat, sweetheart. There's a mob at Art Van, because they worked out sweet furniture deals with savings of 15 to 60% during their sweet deal days. Oh, and Angel,
Yes?
while we're there, we can pick out a love seat.
Oh, Sam, you mean?
I mean, for the office, sweetheart. Sweetheart? Yeah,
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.